Welcome and telling stories through video with Dan Mosher from Mosher Media.
All right. Thanks for having me. Thanks for being here, and I will try to be brief, hopefully entertaining, and hopefully informative, educational, everything I can do. And again, any questions about anything, please feel free to stop me. And let me just beg your forgiveness in advance for boring you with the story of my life. Because what I know I'm going to get into is a lot of how our business got started and through the technology of video production and some war stories as we were talking about how our business came to be. You are welcome to, after this presentation, drive a mile down the road and see our edit center at 6505 Rockside Road. This is our, and very typical of how video production is done. You get a big, powerful Mac, you load it up with some great software, you get a whole team of talented video editors together, and you've got a video production company. And certainly, like a lot of production companies, we're getting into the work on the computers, the nonlinear editing, all the Adobe stuff and Final Cut Pro and everything else. But we do have, of course, many of you may know Hob Zabarski and his great crew. We do have the ability, the capability to go out and do really high-end digital cinema work. We like putting a whole crew together. Certainly in the world of video production today, there is a lot of one-man band video production happening. No offense, we love you guys. But, and quite honestly, this is the way to get a lot of video projects done. Very talented young professionals with one camera and a microphone can do some really great work. I use this when I show to new clients, and they say, well, do you have a studio? Because what we've done is spend a lot of money to set up a video post-production center. Well, when you have an organization like Creative House up there in East 40th, or you've got Kent State University, go Golden Flashes, right? Or even our little, in the basement of a radio station in beautiful Akron, Ohio, we have a small studio we use for some community affairs programs and things that we do at akronbuzz.com. And then also in an office building we have in Akron, we do all of Joanne Fabrics and Craft Stores how-to videos, so we have a set dedicated just for them. Like a lot of people in video production, I got started in high school. And I was very lucky that my parents had 4 kids all together. They did not care what their oldest son did, because they had 3 others that could do college and do things right and do it by the book. They pretty much just let me screw around and do nothing. It was tons of fun. So all my friends and I in good old Stowe High School got together and did the high school TV program. And if you ask true diehard video geeks, they all have the same story. My parents had a camera, and they let me just do whatever I wanted. Right after I graduated, Stowe Century, always doing these. I was great at PR. I'm better at PR when I'm 18 than I am now. They would always do these little community kind of things. You know, Stowe High kid that did the video show starts business. So what happens was a guy that I knew who was the scout leader when we were kids sees this and calls me and says, hey, if you're getting into video production, I'm a video producer at Goodyear. We need somebody to come in and help us in our studio. And that's how a lot of, that's, you know, all of us, networking, you know, it's who you know, all that kind of stuff. Well, it just happened to be who I knew. And from 1993 or so to 2003, I did whatever the Goodyear video production department needed. And this was my college. Here, roaming around, and this guy right here in the yellow shirt is my mentor and good friend, David Wright. He's still, to this, he retired, and now he works for us as a cameraman on jobs, and tons of fun. But literally, whatever, I would travel the world to mines and to factories, and whatever they needed me to do, I would do. And I fell in love with corporate video production. I fell in love with the idea that what I enjoyed doing was helping a business communicate their message or sell. And quite honestly, now I'm just as in love with the business of video production as I am with the actual process of shooting and editing and all the technology. And quite honestly, what I've done is hired folks that are certainly much smarter and brighter and better at it than I ever would have been had I stayed behind the camera. What I really want to talk to today, the topic I want to speak to is, in our business, when you've been doing this for 20 years, you have this sort of soul-searching thing you start doing with, are you the disruptor or are you the disrupted? And perhaps all of us in our own line of work, our own business, find that you've been doing this for a long time. And at the very beginning of your career, you come into it with a great deal of enthusiasm and ambition, and you have not as much to risk, perhaps, as somebody that's been doing it 20 years. Hey. So what I really want to speak to today is the idea of a little bit of soul searching. Are you the disruptor or are you disrupted? And just take you through a little bit of video production technology and have a little bit of fun here. Think of the term disruptor. Sometimes it's more fun to be the disruptor. And I saw this online and I started reading a little bit about the CNBC, their list of the Disruptor 50, right? And you read the description of the companies that they put as what they call the disruptors. These are companies that are doing really cool things. And so in their industry, there's probably some great big company, and these little operations have some new technology or something really cool. They might not be making a whole lot of money doing this, but they are the disruptors. They're coming in, they had some new idea, they've got nothing but potential for incredible success. In this case, perhaps it's more fun to be the disruptor than to be the disrupted. Let's talk about video production technology. And what I'm trying to do perhaps is educate a little bit on video production technology, but using the disruptor idea to have a little bit of fun with it. Because you can talk about cameras and computers all day, but when you talk about their impact on our work and our lives and what we want to do with our business. In 1992, I spent $5,000 on the video toaster. And anybody that's in video production remembers this amazing computer. Anybody that's been in Northeast Ohio a long time and has maybe produced videos or done things here might remember the days of Beechwood Studios and Classic, right? These were just amazing studios. And as an intern at Goodyear and at 18 years old, I got to go to an ITVA meeting at Classic, and I met Jerry Patton, and I was just like, what an amazing business owner. And he's got 6 or 8 online edit rooms and this huge studio. And at that point in time, somebody with a $5,000 computer is a disruptor. I mean, here you come in, you're $300 an hour to edit video, and you know, who does this kid think he is doing work for Goodyear with some little computer, right? It's happening today again. Because what happened to a lot of perhaps the big production studios with smaller entrepreneurs or smaller operations coming in with their cameras and computers and such, it's now happening again. Another disruptor might be, and I love my photographer friends, I can't razz them, but their cameras can now shoot video. So I will tell you, in a couple of situations, we've been bidding on jobs, and they said, well, we're going to have our photographer shoot it because now they can shoot video. So now we're being disrupted. So 20 years ago, perhaps I might have been a disruptor, but now people coming in and disrupting us. And part of the idea is to think of this through. What's wrong with allowing other people to come in and disrupt, especially if it's exciting? The technology is exciting. This kind of stuff is cool, right? Is there anything wrong with saying, okay, that's kind of intruding on our space as a video production operation. Now this person can do this and that person can do that. But why not embrace it? Or why not say, okay, they're doing that. Well, why didn't I think of that? Why be angry with them? Let's be angry at ourselves for not thinking of it first. Let's talk about disruptors in terms of the computers today. What it used to take in those online edit rooms at $300 an hour, you can do on a $1,500 or $2,000 iMac, and you can buy the Creative Cloud from Adobe at $50 for a month for the license, and you have Photoshop, and you have Premiere, and you have After Effects, and you have everything you need. And is there something bad about this? I mean, disruptors sometimes are doing things because they want to, because they didn't have a thought. You know, I didn't think, what is the impact to the entire industry about what I'm doing? I'm just doing what Goodyear is asking me to do. I'm just doing what my client wants. I'm just going to buy this equipment because it's available. I'm not coming into it thinking, well, how does that affect other photographers and other video production people? There is an issue that happens at times. What if we don't see the value to what we do? What if we're a disruptor and we're hungry for work, or we just want to get out there and do a project? And this happens. So we don't think about the value of the service we're providing. We just want to do the project. And there are times where disruptors will come in and they'll do projects and do different things, and they just want to do it for the real, not the meal. If anybody's ever heard that one. You just want to do a project to show what you can do. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not sustainable, certainly as a business model, but that's one of the other things that might go along with being the disruptor. Let's get into a little bit about what I do when I'm presenting to a client. I might come in and present our crew as a team effort. And there's certainly nothing wrong with one-man band style video production. You can get a lot done with a talented camera person and a camera and a run and gun style. But the way that I like to pitch things, or the way I like to suggest that you do things, is with a whole team. One of the main differences between tight budget, one-man band style video production and video production with the entire team is the collaboration that takes place. People say, well, why is this video going to be $30,000? Why can't we just get somebody to do that? And the results of getting a whole crew together, a whole team, even whether it's in the field in production, even in post-production. We have a 3D animation project we're doing for Davey Tree right now that 4 people are working on at the same time. And we'll probably have 4 people that have 40 or 60 hours in it each. And we'll have umpteen hours in it. The teamwork, collaboration gives you much better results. In terms of thinking of the distractors or perhaps young professionals coming into the business, I run a student intern program called akronbuzz.com. And one of the other benefits of having this is there are times when you've been in the business for 20 years and you've been working, and you see the distractor or the people coming into it. And you see the disruptors coming into it and you go, okay, well, they're doing really cool stuff. Why didn't I think of that? These are competitors and now we're bidding against these people. And you think, okay, I need to take a break from the business. This is my creative outlet. Had I not gone into Goodyear and worked as the intern in that production department, what I really wanted to do with my life is work at TV23 in Akron. I wanted to be that news journalist. I wanted to be that the cameraman. And I wanted to do it in my hometown. And what happened was TV23 went under in 1996, and I was on track to head over and work, and they sold the station, killed the news. And so that solidified my path into corporate video and producing TV commercials and getting involved with Time Warner and all the wonderful stuff we did there. So what I did was I said, why couldn't we just create our own internet TV station? With all this camera technology and all these computers and with live stream, and what it's done for us is an endless list of benefits. I have a really great student intern program where I have students from Kent State University or the University of Akron, ZTV, the Ohio Center for Broadcasting, and they are getting college credit to come in and work in our studio. And what we did was we went and bought all these Canon T4Is. These are little DSLR cameras that are just fantastic. Went and bought a whole bunch of them, and we said, go for broke. And when I was first coming into Goodyear working as a cameraman, I would say to my mentor, Dave Wright, I said, okay, what do you want me to do with, and I'm the second cameraman. He would just say, take the camera, go for broke. Do cutaway angles, be creative, learn it, have fun. And so that's the line I use on our interns. I say, here's the camera, here's the topic I want. I want you to go produce a video for the Red Cross. The Girl Scouts are doing this over here. The American Cancer Society is doing this, or any one of 100 great organizations in Akron. Take the cameras, take your IMAX, take it, go for broke. When you graduate college, you need a reel. And we provide some coaching, and they run camera, and we do some sit-down interviews in the studio, so they get some live-to-tape TV production experience. But the benefits for us, in addition to encouraging and coaching the young talent, we get to see who's coming out of school who's really good. And many of our current staff that work for us did our internship program. The other benefit to this is I get to experiment with Ustream and Livestream. Or when I have some idea for some ridiculous thing I want to do where I want to figure out how on our website could we have it so that they could watch live on a mobile phone. Not that anybody wants to watch our ridiculous Akron Buzz interviews, right? But if they did want to watch on their phone, could they? How would that work? So essentially for us, what this has become is a lot of R&D. Because I can go on to akronbuzz.com and screw up stuff or change it and move things around, or, do we really need a mobile version of the site, or what would it be like if they did this thing where they scrape the sites, and I know just enough about the web development to be dangerous. But all the different things you can do. So before I'm going to do it at moshermedia.com, Let's try it at akronbuzz.com and see how we can make it crash, right? Let's see what the video looks like on live stream. And then, of course, the clients come to us and say, hey, we want to broadcast our conference live. We say, of course we know how to do that because we tested it here. A lot of benefits to just general screwing around and having a lot of fun. Certainly, this is not a viable business model. If it were, Akron would have a TV station, and I'd be able to work as a news director at a nightly newscast. Let's talk for a second about, do you ever shop for vendors? And this could be if you want a print vendor, or if you're looking for a photographer or a video producer, or somebody to make these. Well, we would only go to repros. They're just fantastic, right? So if you're looking for a vendor, do you have the ability to go on and kind of rank them as like your top tier vendors, or people you know that are really good and expensive, and then people that will get the job done, and then maybe people that you probably wouldn't use? We've all done that before. Well, I had a guy that I knew real well who owned a production company in Charlotte, and he wanted to retire and move to Florida. And he said, how would you, and this is in the mid-90s, he said, how would you like to take over my operation in Charlotte? I said, absolutely. Charlotte's great. I love Charlotte. So what we did was we actually went through, said, well, maybe we could have a Mosher Media set up, and he had Powerhouse Productions, and what he was doing isn't quite what I want to be doing, but I liked it. It was doing a lot of event videography and or cable television commercials that are maybe $500, $600, $700, $800, and the Insight cable company that was in town there would refer all these jobs to him. And I don't know if when you hear about the idea of a TV commercial being produced for $800, does that just blow your mind, or does that go, oh, yeah, that's what they should cost? I don't know. There's a lot of TV commercials being produced for Time Warner or Comcast. Channel 3 will come out and shoot it for free. If you pay enough, I don't have to tell you how the media buy works, I suppose, but if you're gonna buy enough media, they'll come out and do what we do as for a living. They'll do it for free. So the cost of things all over the board, right? So what we did is we identified, okay, here's all the production companies in Charlotte that we think that Powerhouse Productions is similar to and or competes with and then up here, in every market in the United States, there's always those top couple of production companies. Can you guys think in your mind just for a second, who are they in Cleveland? We don't have to say them, I don't know, but maybe we should, I'd love to hear it, like take a survey of who do you think is the best production company in Cleveland. And maybe, you just like the person you work with, I don't know. But every market in the United States has like 150 production companies. And 100 of them are guys that are working out of their homes, freelance and having fun, maybe some disruptors. Then maybe 30 or 40 of them they have a studio, they're doing nice work, they're not super expensive, they, not necessarily cutting edge, they're doing nice stuff. And then there's just those top companies. And in a lot of cases, I suspect, those top companies, they do a lot of projects that are just for the real. They do a lot of corporate video, they got a lot of nice clients, they do well. But those top companies, I'm noticing a trend. The ones we identify in markets that we look at, we're always studying people's demo reels. I suspect that there's a lot of production companies that do stuff, volunteer, maybe nonprofit work, maybe some documentary stuff that you funded yourself because you have the love of the business. You have such a passion about it that you just want to do something really great and put something really great on your site. And usually I can usually tell, and those are usually the top companies. And these folks right here are usually disrupted. And it has nothing to do with age. Because there's people that are disrupted that are, and there's people that are disrupted that have been doing it 100 years, and there's people disrupted right out of college. We can be grumpy and disrupted from day one. It's possible. Let me tell you some fun stories about something, and I can tell these stories because they didn't happen here. There was one particular car dealership that was working with Powerhouse Productions. And I'll never forget this because this just struck me as I can't believe that people are getting away with this. What they were doing was they were having the Powerhouse Productions editor put together all these spots. How many of you are familiar with the idea of co-op advertising? Everybody gets co-op advertising where the Volvo is going to pay for part of the media buy, right? But the guy that runs the local Charlotte Volvo dealer, why, he makes 3 times as much profit on his used car lot over here. which nobody knows about because he doesn't have any. He's not spending any money to do this. We've produced all these Volvo ads that are great. They pass co-op. So what he was having the young kid do, the editor, is before they would go to the cable company and TV station, he was swapping out the names of the spots and the titles. And I come down there and I'm questioning, like, why are you doing that? It's like, well, the client just says, the ad agency guy goes, just swap out the titles and send them. So I just substitute all these other titles. And so I look and I said, well, what are these other commercials? And they're like, they're commercials for his used car lot. So he was using the Volvo co-op dollars, getting spots approved over here, and then swapping out the titles, and Volvo was paying for all of his, and they would never know. I don't know, where are they headquartered? Who knows? And I thought, man, that's kind of shady. Anyway, I like telling that story because that's part of what happened for me at Goodyear or in 20 years in business. You just learn things that through the business, you go, how are they doing that? How is that? I gotta, as we all do, you probably have a bazillion stories about how are people getting away with that? Unbelievable to me. And then the last thing I might suggest is it possible in one marketplace as a person selling video production services to come into a potential client and say, we have two crews, we have two brands. And not that I know anything about branding, I'm a video production guy, right? But what if you branded the disruptors? What if you found a way to present to your potential client, because you go into a client meeting, we all do it, you don't know what their budget is. You can't say first thing out of the gate, okay, what's your budget for this? Because you know you got your whole list of vendors. You have your list of people that are capable. This person's really good at this person's good at that. And part of our job is to go in and see these clients and help them match the right capability, the right vendor that you know with what their needs are. So what would be wrong with as a video production professional coming in and saying, okay, I don't know what their budget is, but I know what I want them to do. I want them to use my best crew. I want them to have 4, 5, 6 people on a shoot. I want it to be a collaborative effort. I want to have lots of pre-production where we all get together. Let's talk about what we're doing. Let's make sure the script is perfect. We plan it out. We scout the locations. And as I'm saying all this, the dollar signs go up and up and up because it's time, 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 and time. And they, in their mind, they're thinking, we want to do a YouTube video. We need a guy with a camera to shoot this machine and put it on YouTube. And you can't ask right out of the gate, do you want this or do you want this? What's wrong with branding it? The other issue we have, I'll tell you what I did here. I had this great list of all the production companies based on looking at their demo reels and all this stuff where I thought they were. So I had some company way up here at the top. Then somebody handed me a DVD of a project they did, and I played it, and it wasn't very good. And their name was on it. And I thought, well, now, there's nobody from that company that's able to stand next to that DVD and say, look, you got to understand, the client would not let us bring our best people. They just wanted, they said, and then they cut the budget for this, and then they had to have it done by tomorrow. There's nobody to, but your name is on it. But you can't stand there and defend this one, you know, it's not so hot. So I moved them. I put them down here and said, okay, you're only as good as your worst project. Your brand is only as good as your worst project floating around with your name on it, right? So what if it's possible to use these brands to kind of help convey the idea that these projects done by Powerhouse Productions are good, perhaps one-man band, perhaps the client just wanted somebody to come out and shoot it, put it on YouTube. It's just for training. It's just for internal. We don't need to, it's not going to sell it. It's not for the world to see. And then we decide that, okay, the Mosher Media stuff is going to be, we turn the projects away. We really only take on the best or the properly funded or somebody that's really going to agrees with us on our philosophy that everything should be good. Can we brand that? And can you walk in and sell both of them? I don't know. That's part of the soul searching and dilemma of, are you a disruptor or are you disrupted? And I love the disruptors, but how do you compete with them? Especially when they have all that passion and energy and all the enthusiasm because they can go for broke because they're where they are and you where you are. Last thing I want to leave you with is the true story of how I really got off the ground, and that's the man who can sell better than anyone, that's my dad. And he started Mosher Medical, And his name is Dan Mosher also. And let me tell you, when I accidentally get his emails about, do we have the instruments we need for surgery, that's scary. Because I don't have the instruments for surgery. That's that guy. So the two Dan Moshers in Akron, Ohio, sometimes a problem. But he has spent a good part of his life selling orthopedics. And when I was in high school, not only did they let me roam around and edit at the high school till hours of the night, not do any homework and practically fail out, but they also agreed to help me buy a camera. And I became the Mosher Medical Company videographer. And what I would do is videotape all of the hip and knee replacements that they were doing at the Crystal Clinic that just opened, or I'd go into St. Thomas on occasion. And that's how I paid for the camera. Because every orthopedic surgeon who did business with Mosher Medical in the early 90s got a free video. And these orthopedic surgeons loved the videos because they all speak at the National Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons. And anybody that did work with Mosher Medical, with my dad, got a video. So they could go in and give their technique and their talk with one of our videos. And I was probably still in high school, 18 or so, and discovering that video is incredible. And I'm very lucky that very early in life I discovered exactly what I wanted to do, and off we go. So that's my presentation. And any questions? Clearly, I can talk about video production all day. I've hired people who are much smarter and much better at video production than I am, and they're all actually working. So if any tough questions, I'll have to call them. But with that, anything I didn't cover or could answer, or I'd love to pick your brains about the idea of one-man band video production versus a company with an entire team and all that kind of stuff. But I'd welcome any questions.
When you're dealing with working with a client, what's your philosophy on trying to dig the story out of them, what they're trying to relate to either their customer?
Well, what you've done is thrown me into my answer about an identity crisis. Because in the early days, I loved being the cameraman and the editor. And in many times, we were almost a utility service where we were working for an ad agency where they had done all that work for us. And, you know, that's the one thing about, am I a cameraman and an editor? Or if we're doing the work for the cable company, there were times where I would go in and write the commercial for them with the camera on the tripod because we're about to shoot it. And the guy comes out and goes, okay, well, what are we going to do in the commercial? And I'm 20, 22 years old, and I'm doing some spot work for Time Warner, and I got the little camera, and we're just going to have a little fun. And the guy's, standing there in front of the used F-150, and we're going to have him, in the gorilla suit and all this stuff. And we're writing out his copy for him. And I remember they would say, well, you're the expert. And I'm thinking, well, you've been running the business for 25 years. I'm going to write your spot for you? Okay, and then I'll do it. And so, you pick up very early that you have to figure out what role you're going to play in the project. And if your role is to help them tell their story, and that's what they're asking you to do, then you do it the best you can. And, there's also a fine line between, people that's, well, this is what I want to do, and they're the client, and they're paying. And then you say, well, I have this idea over here. So just like in any of us, probably all have the same dilemma of how do we manage the client, and you're the expert, and they're paying you for your expertise, and then they're telling you what to do. But again, how do we help them tell their story? You get to know their personality, and you get to understand, how they want the world to see them, and just write the copy. You figure out fast what your role is in this.
Don't you need to know what the story is to edit it correctly?
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
essence of it.
And let me tell you what else helps, is bringing the editor in as early as possible in the process. We have a team of fantastic editors over here in Rockside Road, and they absolutely hate it when they are the last ones to know. The way to do it, and the problem is that if budgets are shrinking and things are tighter, but you still want to tell the story, and you want great results, but how do you get all the parties in the early meetings? How do you get, not, as the business owner, as the production company owner, I want to be in on it, but how do I get everybody the person that's going to be the DP, the person that's going to do the editing of the piece? You got to get as many of your team members in on early collaboration. And, I mean, for many reasons. The client is comfortable with them. Everybody's comfortable communicating their ideas. The sooner you can get the whole video production team on board with you, the better. It's, because you hate to do, even clients say, we've already covered this in an initial meeting. And then you have another meeting, another meeting, another meeting. The sooner you can bring all the creative crowd and all the editors to get to know the client, to get to know their business. And we've certainly, we've all perhaps made this mistake, but coming into meetings not knowing what has already been said or even what that business does. I've brought people to meetings and I thought, why didn't you look at the website to see what they did? I've studied their business. I know what they're doing. But getting all the rest of your team in on the meeting, but not only that, making sure you had a meeting with them beforehand, say, look, this is the business they're in. This is what they're selling. Get to know them. Get to know them. Get to know them early. Yes?
What are some of the things that the more budget-conscious clients cheap out on that really makes you crazy because they don't recognize?
Boy, they drop the catered lunch immediately. That one gets struck off the... Hey, you know what? And I've worked with... you have to have that balance between, back in the day when you were shooting on film, perhaps, and that was, let's say, if you're going to do a corporate film, and you're going to be there all day, and you're going to have a crew of 20, you got to have food. You got to have... We had one particular client who was upset with us because we were not going to provide Wi-Fi on the set, but we were shooting at Edgewater Park, or some I can't remember where we were, but they were upset that we didn't have, and they were a client of a client of. So there's some things that in today's modern era of you just have to cut from the budget. And people are cutting stuff, I get, but what's upsetting to me is if they can get something for free, they'll grab it. If somebody's willing to do a voiceover for nothing, just grab them and just put them up there. If somebody's willing to, just whatever. And what's really upsetting is when somebody has done something that looks really good and it's well funded. So the shoot, it was incredible. We have spectacular video. And then the voiceover guy is going to be somebody that's... So one part of the program was really well... If you're going to just produce a tight budget video, then just shoot it on a small camera, do it on a small editor, and have the guy voice it. So sometimes is an imbalance of, we spent $20,000 on this 3D animation to show how this product works, and then we dropped it into a video that we shot on our iPhone. And it's like, why? Just be across the board, the whole project consistently through, the whole workflow is either going to be tight budget or the whole workflow is either going to be thoughtful throughout, well-funded. And I think that also throws off a lot of video projects and it's blatant. You're watching the presentation, you're watching, then all of a sudden, But yeah, where people skimp is all over, based on what they think has value and what they think, I have a hard time justifying extra crew. I have a hard time justifying the cost of the grip and the teleprompter operator as two separate people. Well, after the guy sets up the lights, can't he just go over and run the prompter? No, because he's setting up the prompter. Well, it's just cut that off the budget. We'll just rent a prompter. And then the prompter shows up. Well, can you guys run that? So that is one thing that goes pretty fast from the budget, as bodies on the set. Extra hands. That's the thing. That's a tough sell. But I could go through a whole list of things that are a tough sell. Extra hours in editing. I mean, certainly, you know what? And I get it. I mean, if you set a budget for a project, I don't want to go over. None of us want to tell our client, hey, that's going to take me an extra day, and you're going to pay for it. There's a good way to keep a client happy, right? Yeah, I'd be happy to do that for you, but I'm going to charge you. But your time is valued. Yeah, I could go on and on. What gets cut from the budget? Everything, yes. But I hope those were some good examples.
Yeah, that's great.
Sure. Yes?
Oh, I was just going to touch on what you just said. So when you're doing a project and you need more time in editing, so whatever they originally allocated for the budget isn't enough, is that something that you then feel comfortable going back and saying, you know what, this is what we've got so far, we need additional hours, and charging them for it, or is that a cost that you would eat?
It depends on, and forgive me for just answering with it depends, but it depends. It depends on if you're speaking directly to the business owner who's in control of the checkbook and understands it to that point, or if you're speaking to somebody that has to turn around and sell it to somebody else. So if your client has another client, or if your client is the director of marketing and they have to go sell it to the VP of marketing, hey, I just went over budget, then you've put them in a tight spot. If you're working directly with the VP who just signs off on it and has complete control, then you do one sell job, one round of convincing that this is something that's going to. But if they have to get back to you and let you know if those, that's where the trouble spots are for us. When we're working directly with the person that is in control of the budget and checkbook, they can generally say, you know what, those are okay. Or you could work it out right then and there. Hey, this is what you just asked for, what your CEO or what your client asked for is going to be an extra day of editing, but we could work with you on that. But you're almost negotiating at the end of the project, which is fine because you want like everybody, we all want to make them happy and keep them coming back. But it depends on who you're talking to as far as. If you're working with somebody that you've known forever and you've worked together and you've been in the spot a bazillion times before, then you can work it out. Yeah. But if it's somebody that you're putting them in an awful position, or they're the ad agency person and they have to go to their client, and then there's a chance that they might have to eat some of it because they underquoted it. A whole variety of different circumstances I can describe, but ultimately it has to do with how many times does that have to fly up the flagpole. And let me tell you something, production companies that would consistently ding people at the end, well, we're not delivering that. We're not making those extra. We're not, we have clients that say, hey, I don't know how the client wants it for their use at the SEMA show in Vegas. They have these video walls, and we've done this a bazillion times, but the person that does it, well, there's a video guy there that runs the video wall, and I don't have time to call him. I don't know what file I need. Just give me every file that you can make. And that's an extra 2 days of compressing videos, which we can do, and we're happy to do it. Just do it. But then what about that extra day of, well, they don't have time to call the client. They don't want it. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to give them an MP4. We're going to give them a Windows Media. We're going to give them a VHS tape, beta. We're going to give it to them on 16 millimeter. I mean, they want it all, right? Fine. And then we'll deal with it later. Whatever they need to get on a plane and take it out, and they're scared to death. What if they get there and it doesn't work? Just give it and then we'll deal with it later, But production companies that will consistently say, no, that's $50 for each minute I talk to you on the phone because I hate you, they're going to be out of business.
Is Mosher Media simply a production, not simply obviously,
Sure.
but solely a production company, or do you dabble in other things?
You know what? I would love to dabble in other things, but quite honestly, we are shooting and editing. And again, going back to the identity crisis, and quite honestly, I don't want to compete with, I have a lot of ad agency clients that I love dearly. I don't want to get into the media buying. I don't necessarily, certainly we have a lot of these DSLRs. We could probably open up a photography business immediately, and we do have people say, oh, hey, you have a nice website. Could your guys make our website? No, it's just not what we do. We like video production, and we try as hard as we can to stick to the core business of video production. But I tell you what I'd never want to do is be involved in the media buying. I would never want to be, this is tough work. This coordinating all the schedules, and I know people that work in traffic and media buying, and I know people that carry the paper, and your client owes you $100,000 for this media, and we just placed all the media, and I'm pretty sure they're going to pay because we just paid 6, 8, and 10 in Columbus, and we just paid 3, 5, and 8 in Cleveland, and I'm really hoping they pay us because now we owe everybody and their brother money. I'll stick to video production. Yeah.
We have some media buying clients that you just don't call during it's November sweeps right now. So
don't call them.
Don't even bother.
Don't even go. Don't even go.
Please
Yes.
don't contact
Yes.
us.
Yes. Yes.
What's the next big thing?
Oh my gosh. The next big thing is connectivity and crazies broadcasting, and everybody owns a TV station. When YouTube has a button that you can go live from your phone, And I'm Dan Mosher reporting from my Saturday night out. Now my career's over because everybody sees what I'm doing on a Saturday night. That's the next big thing. Facebook, but it's live video. And I'm telling you, if I get 1,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel at Akron Buzz, we can do the nightly news in Akron live, right? I don't know if I could ever make money doing that or if I'd want to be in that business, but it would sure be a heck of a lot of fun. I think the next big thing is an overwhelming amount of live video on the internet where I take my phone and this presentation just went out to the whole world, and he has a device on his camera where he is going to live stream from that camera. And there's no taking back anything I just said about all those nice people in Charlotte because I'm already in trouble. That's where the world of video is going, I think. Yes?
With Mosher Media, do you guys do mostly TV commercials, or have you done like the YouTube promoted commercials or Vine and Instagram and all of that?
All of it. In fact, I love the idea when people say, can we make a web video? And the reality is we're making a video. And where it's, and we make this distinction about what kind of video it is based on where it's going to be shown. And there are some general rules to web videos. You don't want to go over a couple of minutes. You might want to do this on the web if you're going to, but certainly there's rules to television, like if it's a 30-second spot, it really needs to be within 30 seconds because they'll just cut the remainder of the time off. But yes, we do it all as we're a video production company, and we love it when people come to us to make videos, whether it's for television or for web or for whatever use. But a lot of our crew enjoys a television production because we like watching our work on TV. And I'll bet you these guys can tell you too. Do you remember the first time you saw something? I mean, you're 20-something. The first time you saw something you did on television, you're like, "Wow, I've made it big. I'm on. My work is on TV." So there's something very magical still about television for all of us in video production. That it's a digital short. It's a short film. It's your short, and it's on and people are seeing it. And you could come in and go, "Hey, did you see that commercial? I did that." A lot of our crew like to be in the TV commercials because then we have one particular person working in our operation who wound up in a commercial, and I was not aware of how much media they were going to buy. And he gets razzed on it now. And you've experienced, have you ever been in a TV commercial? Once or twice, and you get razzed a little bit? Yes. And they're all doing their thing. And I said, I have an F-150. He goes, really? Because they're interviewing all these truck owners and this, that, and the other. And they're, and he's like, "Oh, you should be in it." I'm like, "No, I work in the, we're here to look at cars." No. He goes, "Well, you get Cavs tickets." I'm like, "Oh, okay, let's do it." All right, and then they take you off into this room and they give you coffee and cookies while you're waiting. And I probably waited a half hour and they line up all these people and people talking on camera. And it was cool to be on the other side of it. And I'm on, and they got the green screen and all this stuff. Well, then I'm at the Cavs game. By total coincidence, we're enjoying the tickets that they gave us. And they call me and say, "Hey, we're sending you a release. We think we're going to use you." I'm like, "Sweet." And then they do. And so for like 2 seconds of these Ford, Ford is the best-selling brand in Northeast Ohio, and here's what people have to say about their F-150. And I'm the first dork on there going, "I love my F-150. It goes great." You remember this was ridiculous, right? And people were just razzing me. They ran the heck out of it. And the point to this, sorry for the long, boring story, but the point to all of it is there's still something for all of us very magical about television. We love seeing our work. Some of us think it's funny when we're on television, but still many of us were drawn to the business because we like TV. Yes?
What do you do to warm people up to the fact that a camera is on them when they're not a professional? How do you get them to be natural?
I do this, what you and I are doing right here. And as the interviewer, it's really up to the interviewer. And the camera crew needs to do their thing, and they need to set up their lights, and they need to run their camera. It's up to the producer or the interviewer, frequently they're the same person, to say, "I'm going to have a conversation. I want you to look at me. I want you to pretend the camera isn't there." Then what I do is I say, "Let's talk about where are you from? What do you do? What would you be doing if you weren't here right now? Where do you like to vacation?" Yeah, I go off into, clearly I can talk, I'll ramble on endlessly all day. So I like to just have a conversation. Then I explain, this is how it's going to be. We're just talking. The camera's not even here. Talk to me. Because a lot of times and certainly if a person is a high up executive or they're a product manager or they've done it before or they're used to speaking in front of a group. But I like to just say, "Hey, we're having a conversation. Ignore the camera. be natural. And most of the interviews we do, certainly we'd like to have them looking off camera and right at the interviewer. And that's typically how I do it. But it has a lot to do with the person doing the interview. Because you can, I mean, if, you know, you can get somebody to open up or let's just talk, and there's no pressure. I frequently say, and you know, I'll go on and on and on about this. I say, hey, we have 4 editing systems. I got a team of editors. We will make you look good. You can say 15 bad things in a row. I don't care. I said, we'll get something good here. Don't worry. Any technique you can do like that to just say, hey, we're just having fun here. And if it doesn't, there's no pressure. We're not live. We got editing equipment. So whatever you can do to just be real for a second. I love this business. I'm very lucky to be doing what I do, and that. So yeah, any questions or if any, I mean, we have the whole setup over there. You guys are welcome anytime to come tour Rockside Road. And if there's any other questions or. Yeah, of course, absolutely.
So what, everybody's got their phones out and they're doing video.
Yeah.
What's your biggest pet peeve of quality? Is it sound, lighting? You know, what's the thing that really says right away?
All right, this is where you turn that off, because I do not want this broadcast on the world. I'm kidding. Because it's scary. It's not the next big thing in video production because it's already here. And it's not even a thing in video production, it's just video. If you took this and went and shot some video, okay? All you need to do to make this work is get rid of all of this, all right? Because I have a caffeine addiction. I love coffee. I drink coffee all day. I'm just wired. So my problem was, if I try to shoot a video, that's the only problem with these, is that the guy drank too much coffee. If you spent, this is the part you need to edit out immediately. If you go to NAB, I go to NAB every year because we have a good time in Vegas, right? And so I see this booth where the guy's selling these tripods, right? There's one that goes this way. There's one you can mount the camera with like a little miner's hat. And you can run around like a GoPro and do all this crazy stuff. And it's $200. And I'm looking going, wow, with all if you had a tripod for this, then you'd have beautiful video. This thing is incredible. People come up to me all the time, hey, Dan, you know about cameras. I'm thinking about buying one at Best Buy. Well, unless you're going to spend $2,500, you can't do better than this. If you're going to go into Best Buy and spend $300 or $400 or $500 on a camera, you haven't done better than what you can do here. All you need for this is a tripod. And that's what irritates me the most about these dang things, is that they're really good. That's my pet peeve, is that, and I'm not kidding you, a couple of years ago, I took 3 of our interns, and I went out as an assignment. I said, I want you to shoot a commercial on your, this might have been an iPhone 4. Maybe the 4 had come out, and they made a big deal about how the video is great. So I have a friend that owns a small business, a little shoe store in Stowe, and I said, hey, we're going to send an army of interns, and I'm going to do this assignment, and everybody has to produce a commercial on an iPhone. And I got to tell you, I was concerned when I saw the results, because it's pretty darn good. And that's what irritates me is. No, the problem, like I said, what's irritating is that these could be good if you really used them right. If you bought the tripod and if you do an interview with one of these and you do some right in here where the sound is good, scary, irritating, or tons of fun if you embrace it and you try to go do it and let's see what would happen if we did it. And what if? What if entrepreneurs could go online to a website and upload the video they shot with their phone, and the next morning they had a TV commercial done? There's a business idea. Somebody write that down. That's a good one. What if some person,
I think there is something
right, like spotrunner.com or some crazy thing where, hey, you want to run some cable? Shoot it with your iPhone. Send us the video. We'll put some cheesy voiceover on it and send it back to you the next day, and you're on cable. That's irritating and fun. I want you to take that tape and delete it. You got that? All right. Thank you all for listening to my ranting and raving. Thank you.